Hey guys, if you or a loved one are struggling with addiction, please know that help is available. Call now at 833-999-1877 or click the Info Addiction Help link on the top right corner of this video. Addiction specialists are available to offer support 24/7.
Hey, welcome to the Hell Has an Exit podcast. I'm your host, Bryan Alzate. This show is not affiliated with any specific 12-step program. If you or a loved one is struggling with an addiction, please find a local 12-step meeting. If you believe you may need detox or drug treatment of any kind, please call 833-999-1877 to speak to a specialist. The show is sponsored by United Recovery Project, a state-of-the-art drug and alcohol rehab facility. You can visit our website at unitedrecoveryproject.com. Hey, welcome to Hell Has an Exit. I'm your host, Bryan Alzate. Today I have my good friend, Brooke.
That's not my name.
I was talking to Sarah today, and I was like, oh, I have Brooke on the show.
She's like, who is Brooke?
Yeah. Okay. Brandon.
That's me.
All right. Louisiana boy.
Correct.
Longtime friend.
Yes. You
say that now?
Yes. We are friends for 10 years.
I was thinking 10. You're probably thinking 4.
Well, it takes a long time to really develop a relationship.
You don't just label people friends?
No.
Like, it's hard, like, you don't give someone that title right away.
Yeah. I definitely have to share experiences with you before we do that. And I think with you...
I think I call everybody my friend. Like, I can meet someone today, and I'm like, that's my friend.
The guy at the gas station. That's your best friend.
Yeah. And then I have, like, close friends, and then I have, like... And then eventually, like, my close friends become family. Like, I have people like family.
To be fair, I get ridiculed a lot because I have, like, 5 best friends.
So do I.
And they all are equally best friends.
You had one best man at your wedding.
That's true. And he did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
He did a great job. But I have like, I would say a solid 4 best friends.
Like, when I really think about it, I'm like, damn, like, I have a lot of really close friends.
So I always use this analogy when I talk about how I know we're friends. I guess I set my friend level so high that once you reach best friend, it's like a super high level and this is how I look at it. But for me to call someone a friend, you have to be comfortable coming to my house, opening the door without asking.
Oh, I hate that.
And going into my fridge without asking.
You get shot in my house.
No, once you do that, we're friends.
What if someone's comfortable doing that, you're not comfortable with them doing it?
Well, I wouldn't invite them to my house. If you have my address, whatever is in my fridge, feel free.
Okay.
Simon, my best man, his wife was at my house last week, and I've known her for 10 years. And she said, "Hey, Brandon, can I get a water?" And I was dumbfounded.
You're annoyed. You're like, what?
No, I wasn't annoyed.
You were like, of course you could get a water. What do you think this is?
Yeah, but it was just like, it's one of those things where it's like, if I'm inviting you into this space that I hold so dearly, then you are welcome to anything I have in there. Now, that's not to say, like, take all of my money or take anything, but, like, if I have something to offer to you that you need like that, feel free. Like, you don't have to ask.
You're a hospitable guy.
I try.
You think it's like a recovery thing? I feel like people in recovery have a lot of friends, way more than, like, a normal person. Like, your business partner's not in recovery, right?
Correct.
Do you have a lot of friends?
Yes.
Okay.
But I agree with you. I think it is a recovery thing. I think when you have...
Because we get so close to so many people so fast.
Yeah, we all have a common bond, right? We all have something that we can relate to. If we...
It's like we all went to summer camp over and over for years together.
I went to summer school every year from...
Summer school or summer camp?
No, like, I failed, and you got to go to summer school.
You became friends with those people?
I loved it.
Really?
I hated school.
But you like summer school.
Because it was like, this one time I saw this guy like get beaten up in the middle of the hallway and get his shoes stolen. And I was like,
this is awesome.
I was like, why doesn't everybody just come here? This is where the fun's at.
Yeah, to me, it's like, dude, if you had to go to summer school, like that meant that you were like in the ESC class and like 8 crayons or something.
Yeah, that was probably me.
Probably you.
That was probably me.
Were you bad in school?
Horrible. I think there was 400 people or something in our graduating class, and I think I was like 30th.
Wow.
Like from the bottom, up. I never cared. The idea of homework to me was so foreign that I would spend 8 hours at school and then have to go home and do something was just, it was impossible for me. It made no sense. I was never able to like focus. And even in school, I wasn't able to like sit down and focus and pay attention and study or any of those things.
I had like a photographic memory. I just had a really good memory. So a lot of people say that like our education system doesn't really teach kids anything. It teaches us how to memorize, because that's how we answer questions. It's like, when do we go to the moon? When did this happen? Whatever. It's really just memorizing.
Right.
You know, you're not really like, you know, expanding your mind, like having real conversations. It's just memorizing. But I was really good at that. So I didn't have to study, and I would just hear it. And I wouldn't even be paying attention in class. I would like hear it like out of one ear, and I would still be able to memorize it, but horrible at math. English, killed it.
I was horrible at every class.
What was your favorite subject?
I was just trying to think, like, what
are you good at?
I was trying to think, like, out of all the things, what was I good at? And I don't think I really excelled at any particular, like, math, science, social studies, or anything. I would get better grades if I got along with the teacher. So if I enjoyed the personality of the teacher, or I had fun in their class, I was like, I don't want to be an ass to this guy or this woman. Let me at least try a little bit. But I looked at my Facebook memories last night, and my Spanish teacher from 2008 was like, "Hey, Fish," which is what they called me in high school.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
It was just like a nickname. We all had weird, like, someone's name was Brownie, Meat Pie. We all just like made each other nicknames. Mine's the only one that stuck. It's just Fish.
People call you Fish?
Everyone from my high school friends group that I still talk to, Fish. That's it. So my Spanish teacher said, "Hey, Fish, you have like a 67 in this class. You need to do this assignment. Otherwise, it's going to be really bad." And he like posted it on my Facebook wall.
Wow.
I was just like, okay, whatever.
How old are you? You had Facebook back then?
Yeah, I've had Facebook for a long time, since like 2006.
Wow.
It was, my sister had it, and then she invited me, and then, so it is kind of cool to like see that. And now being in South Florida, like I commented back, you know, after 14 years or whatever it was, like, I wish I would have paid attention, you know, because I do a lot of traveling to South America or to Spain and stuff, and I wish I would have learned Spanish.
Yeah.
You know, but at that time,
I don't think anyone learned Spanish in high school except for this one kid I went to high school with. He was like super, super nerdy, but everyone like loved him. He literally took Spanish, like 1 and 2, and like learned Spanish because he just like really applied himself.
Yeah.
But like no one learned Spanish, like, or else you have to take it. Everyone be speaking Spanish.
Yeah, yeah. I learned more working in Miami and around, you know, like Miami Cubans of Spanish than I did from taking the classes. And I think that to me, it's like indicative of my learning style. Like if it's something that I find interesting, like my wife says all the time that I have hyperfixations. Like if I see something and I set my mind to it, I'm watching every YouTube video. I'm going to Reddit and every single subreddit. Like my current hyperfixation is salsa, like homemade chips and salsa. That's like my current. So I have this whole YouTube playlist.
Cook?
I don't.
Okay, me neither.
I don't. But salsa is all you need is a blender, tomatoes.
So you're making salsa?
I'm making salsa. There's 3 jars.
For chips?
Well, you could use it however you wanted.
How do you use it?
I eat it with chips.
Okay.
But you could make like a salsa verde and put it on enchiladas.
Okay.
You can make, I just made a tomatillo salsa with serrano peppers.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? A little cilantro, a little lime juice, a little onion. And it's just,
that's your thing right now?
that's my thing.
Yeah, I get into things too. Hyperfixated into them.
We went to the Food Town in Davie. You know what I'm talking about? Right there on Davie Road Extension. It's like a Spanish market. It's really cool.
Food Town?
It's called Food Town. It's right there on Davie Road Extension. And
By the gun range?
No, Davie Road and Sterling.
Okay.
Right on the corner
it's
there.
further.
Yeah. I literally went up and down each aisle like this, up and down, and just looked at everything and just, oh, what could I do with this? What could I do with this? Because that was my current hyperfixation. It's like finding, you know, that's my addiction right now. It's like finding sauces, vegetables, flavorings, and stuff that I can use to make a salsa.
I got really into that store that I told you about way back when.
Yeah.
It's like that antique store. And I would buy like I don't even like sports, but I would buy baseball cards and like antique stuff. And I bought like an antique World War II helmet, and I bought like these old guns and like, I don't know, like 1700 guns or whatever. I'm just buying like antique stuff, like in theory to like sell later on in life.
But
Dude, I was going to that place like once a week for
you asked me to go there within 3 minutes of me being here.
I haven't been there in like probably like 6-7 months.
Oh, okay.
But I got into it for a long time. I was spending a lot of money there. Now it's jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Which is very, very proud of you. You've been sticking with it for like...
Yeah.
How long has it been?
7 months.
It's been a while.
Yeah. It still suck.
Did you see... I watched the other day, Zuckerberg competed in a...
How crazy is that,
He's what? 5th richest person in the world? And
competing
he's just
in like a regular... Tom Hardy competes too. So there's a whole bunch of celebrities that do that you'd never think. Ashton Kutcher, I think he's a black belt now.
Really?
The guy from... There's so like Russell Brand's a purple belt.
And that's hot. Even what, like brown belt or green belt is like...
Brown belt,
time.
7 years, 6 years minimum, you know, for most people. So yeah, bro, to be a brown belt, like imagine Ashton Kutcher like whoops your ass, you know?
Oh, man.
Or Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh, man.
How would it feel that like the 5th richest person in the world just armbarred you, you know?
You just got to go home.
You drive home in silence. You got to kill him. You shoot him.
You just go home and deactivate your Facebook.
Yeah, bro. It's like, dude,
I'm going to show you.
This guy, like, you know, has, whether you like him or not, but he's done a lot in his life. And now he's doing a sport better than you know? Because imagine how many people are like, oh, I'm so busy. You know, imagine how busy he is.
And he was not only doing it as a hobby or anything, but he wanted to compete. Mm-hmm. Went out of his way to be in a competition.
Yeah.
And okay with, because he knows he's not the best.
So the way that I see it is like competing is like building a race car, like put it on the track. Mm-hmm. It's like tracking your car. So it's like you can do these things in sparring or whatever, but like, dude, in a competition, like this dude's trying to break your arm. Like when you're sparring with people, they might not be going 100 and then when you spar with people at your gym, you kind of know that guy's game and you've rolled with them so many times.
Yeah.
At a tournament, dude, you have no idea this guy, you know, what they're good at or what they're not good at. And you have to fucking...
And someone's a winner.
Yeah.
Someone has to be a winner.
Yeah. It's awesome.
No, I thought that was...
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, wow, it's crazy.
Because he's totally okay to rest on his laurels.
Yeah.
You know, no one would say, you haven't done enough in your life. Mm-hmm. You should go do something else. Mm-hmm. But here he is competing and doing all that. That's
super dope.
Yeah, I definitely get caught up in the I'm too busy, without a doubt. Uh-huh. Without a doubt. That's like last 3 months or 4 months.
Did you ever see the thing on why Rob Dyrdek is so successful?
No.
For like months at a time, maybe even like a year at a time, he'll have a whole calendar of every hour of the day. And he maximizes every 24 hours of every day. Like he doesn't have time where he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like his whole life is mapped out to the hour to maximize. Okay, I'm going to go to my parents' house for, 2-3 hours. And then when I come home, I'm going to read a book. And then I'm going to go and do this. So like every single thing is just, and then he rates his day. So at the end of the day, he'll rate it like how he felt, why he felt that way or whatever. And then
it's like data.
It's like data. So he so he can track why he didn't feel good. So he'll be like, oh, I didn't feel good because X, Y, and Z was going on. So I'm going to cancel out X, Y, and Z. So he quantified his life. But he's crazy successful. I had no idea.
I think, a lot of the times I can get caught up in romanticizing that style of life where you...
Crazy discipline?
Like in video games, we call it min-maxing, right? Min-maxing. So you get the most value out of what you can bring.
Okay.
I can get caught up in romanticizing that. But I think for me, and you could probably agree with this, in my life, what I'm the best at and what I feel I have the most impact in is relationships with people. Like I thoroughly enjoy the people in my life, learning from them, listening to them, helping them. Mm-hmm. I enjoy expressing emotion. I enjoy holding space for people to express emotion to me. That's my priority. That's my number one. If I meet someone or someone's having a rough day or whatever it is, I'm not there to offer a solution. I just want to be available. I just want to hold space, is how it was presented to me, how it was told to me. When I hear, like he made like data entries and he did all these things, and I'm not minimizing that, and I understand the the value of that. But I think sometimes we can get caught up in the game, the rat race.
Yeah, well, not just that. It's like there's some things you can't quantify, you know. But
100%.
But what I do think that he's able to quantify, even like how much time he spends with his family, because I think sometimes you'll think you spend a lot of time with your family, and then if you actually put it on the chart, you'll be like, wow, I spend 2 hours a month with my family. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It benefits that way, but at the same time, you don't want to get wrapped in like comparing people's lives. You know what I mean?
That's a dangerous game.
Mm-hmm.
There's a J. Cole song that's called Love Yours. And there's always, he says in the song, like, there's always somebody that has a nicer car, that has better clothes, that has a bigger house, and that you're never going to be happy until you love yours. I never really took that in, like, early in recovery of not comparing and of being at peace. Because really that's what it is. When I start comparing, it's because I'm not at peace with who I am. You know, it's not for me, it was never like a jealousy thing or this person doesn't deserve that. It was, I'm not good enough. I'm never going to have that because I don't deserve it.
The way that I see it a lot too is like, we talk about like self-love a lot and like the importance of like self-love, but a lot of us will only love ourselves if we're doing good.
Conditionally.
Yeah, like, oh, wait, we got to do this. But it's like, if you thought about like your kid, you know, like if you had a kid, it's like you didn't need him to be pretty. You don't need him to be good at every sport. Like whatever he does, like,
you love him.
Because it's yours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I love you because you're mine.
Yeah.
And it's like with yourself, it's like, dude, this is your life. This is the only life you're gonna get. So it's like even if someone had like a straight A student kid, you wouldn't want their kid. It's not yours.
Right.
But it's like, dude, your kid is your blood, came from you. So it's like your life, it's the only one you're gonna get, you know?
It took me a long time to really understand that. I mean, even clean, there were times where because of course I was, you know, when you asked me to come here, I was like, well.
It was last minute, by the way, and I do appreciate you so much. It's been hard to find guests.
No, it's okay.
It's Mother's Day.
I was doing nothing. I was doing nothing. So I said to myself, I woke up late today. Like when I texted you, I was still in bed and it was like 11. I remember looking
I know you do that a lot.
Yeah, I sleep in late. I remember looking at the phone and just thinking like, is this a joke? You know, like, what do you want me on the podcast for? I thought it was because we had spoken like, hey, let's hang out soon.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't seen you in a while. So I thought it was like a joke and you were going to get here and be like, you're not on a podcast, but let's go to lunch or something.
We could go to lunch after.
And Elise was sitting next to me and she's like, you should do it. And I'm like, why? You know, and then I'm driving to pick up your gift and I was calling my mom for Mother's Day. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this podcast. And she was like, Brandon, that is so great. I'm so proud of you. And in my mind, the way I interpret it is like, what do I have to offer? You know, I have this like...
you know what Sarah said today?
What?
When I was like, oh, you know, I'm having Brandon on the podcast.
Yeah.
She goes, Brandon's always that guy that you just know that good guys out there do exist.
I really do. I try to be the most genuine and authentic version of myself at all times. Now, that's not to say that I fall short sometimes, you know, and like I was saying with wanting to be here, my own head is worse than what is being said around me. You know, that's the hardest for me is, I've told you this story, and this is like a good example. When I joined the company that I now own now, I was just an employee. And then...
I didn't know that you started as an employee.
I started as an employee. And then in 6 months, I had done really well in sales, right? And I'd been working in this industry for 3 or 4 years. And I'd done really well in sales. And it was my first time in sales. And I thought to myself, if I can do this for these guys, I'm just going to go do it myself. And so I went into the 3 guys who owned it at the time. I went into the office and I said, listen, I want equal equity. So 25, it'll be 4 of us, 25%, or I'm going to leave and start my own. No ill will either way. Either way, you guys, I'm going to give you guys a week. Let me know. They decided to bring me on board as a partner, and I didn't tell anyone in the organization. Even like our Mario, you know, nobody. I told nobody for like 6 months. Elise knew, I think Simon knew, but in my head, I felt I can't tell these people because they know I don't deserve it. They're going to judge me because I have something. I don't want these people to know.
Yeah.
And I would walk on like bated breath, you know, like, oh, are they going to find out?
Yeah, I think there's so you know how there's like survivor's guilt? There's also like success guilt, where it's like sometimes when you're advancing in certain stages of your life, whether it's financially or fitness or whatever, sometimes we don't want to like tell other people because we think that they're going to think like, well, you don't deserve that, or they're going to feel like insecure about where they're at, or maybe like hate on you, or you'll feel like braggadocious. Like, I don't want to feel braggadocious that like, I'm like, oh, look what happened to me. And then a lot of people's problems stem from finances. So it's like, you're over here telling me you're struggling financially, and I'm over here telling you about how great I'm doing. Yeah. So it's like, there is like that thing of like, you don't want to really like tell people, and then you don't want to be that guy just telling everyone like how good you're doing all the time when there might not be. Right.
There's a time to communicate everything in life. And I eventually, shared with my now one business partner. I hadn't brought it up, and he is the complete opposite. Where he's just like, there's nothing in between. He's just going. So he goes, oh, I'll call everybody in right now. I'll tell them. I'll call everybody in here. And I was, I'm in shock as soon as he says it. Because there was no like, should we do this? Let's do it. It was, this is happening right now. And I was sitting there when he told, Mario and another one of our employees, and I'm like this. I didn't even say a word. I'm like staring up, being quiet in silence. Because at that time, I hadn't done any work on myself. I had, I think I had maybe
4 years clean, 3 years clean?
I want to say, maybe like 5 years clean. Okay. Maybe I had like 5 years clean. I hadn't really found an understanding of who I was. Or I hadn't found an ego, which ego isn't a bad thing. So I hadn't found anything to be confident about. I hadn't found my peace. I hadn't found, my character defects. I hadn't found any of the things that defined who I was. So when it was an exterior thing, that was all I had to offer to the world. That was like, this is it.
And it becomes your identity.
Yeah, I was like, this is it. I'm this person. My value is dependent on this outside entity. However successful this is how good of a human I am.
Yeah, and it's like attachment. So it's like there's this book called like The 5 Levels of Attachment. And like when you don't have a sense of self that's basically just based on your flesh, like nothing else, like this is just what I am, right? And it's not attached to something. Once you do get attached to something, your value of yourself is dependent on that. So like, I went to this Tony Robbins thing, and he talked about how there was this guy who was worth $16 billion in Europe, one of the richest people in Europe. And he like hedged all of his money on like basically shorting Volkswagen, saying that Volkswagen's going out of business, and then Porsche bought it. And he basically lost like $6 billion, and he killed himself. So imagine being worth $16 billion, and then like you lose 6, and you're no longer like the second.
You have you still are worth $10 billion. But in your mind, you're like, I have lost no everything. Value.
Yeah, exactly. And he ended up killing himself, and his family ended up getting loans to cover like a lot of like the debt that he had, and they ended up recouping all of his money anyways. But it's like everything's relative, So it's like you can make $1 million a day, and there's someone out there who makes $1 million a year. And that person who makes $1 million a day would be like, damn, if I made $1 million a year, I'd kill myself. You know, like, or 100 grand or 90 grand or 50 grand or whatever. And at the end of the day, it's like, you need to be good with or without, like what like the 11th step talks about, like with or without the money, with or without the job. Like if this all fails, like it doesn't diminish your worth at all, and if it succeeds, it doesn't increase your worth. Like you could only be worth.
Right. What's
like,
in here.
Yeah. It's like shopping at the dollar store. It's like everything's a dollar.
we understand what's going on.
It's like, bro, a toothbrush or a balloon. It's $1, bro. So it's like you might need a toothbrush, and like you have some value when someone needs to brush your teeth. Like in a different scenario, you might not have a lot of value to this person, but like we're all worth the same thing. Right. So I think I heard someone say like, just because I'm doing better off doesn't mean I'm better than. And like a lot of times you think someone's better off than you start to think that they're better than you. And the reality is like no one's better than anybody. Like we're all human. But that's a hard place to get to without, like for me, like if I didn't do like a bunch of step work and like therapy and like, we've done like self-development courses and shit with years. Like bro, I had worked all 12 steps. Yeah. And I did like 2 self-development courses that were probably like 8 months at a time. And I can't even imagine what my life would be like if I didn't do those courses.
The heart-based therapy, like the session that I did, which I think was like 4 months long, it changed everything. I mean, it changed once I realized, because prior to that, right around the time of me becoming an owner and what the story we were talking about previously, I had a real bad episode of depression. Like it had got real bad.
I think I remember talking to you during this time too.
Yeah. The culmination was I was at Lester's, which is a diner that, we go to after meeting. I was at Lester's with all of my friends, these people that I was in halfway with that I had known for 5 years. I was the last one there, and I pulled up, and I remember waiting in my car and just sitting in my car. Everybody's inside at the table, and these are people that I've known for multiple years, people that have met my family, and I just didn't feel
like you belonged
like
there.
I belonged there. And we're talking about my best man was there. All these people were there, and I didn't feel like I belonged. I remember thinking like, there's only one thing that I should do, and I thought, I don't deserve to be alive anymore. I don't deserve to have a life, and I had come to this realization, not of like, this will be easier if I'm no longer alive. It was, I'm taking up space that I'm not worth. I don't deserve to sit in this seat. I don't deserve to sit at that booth at that diner. So if I take myself out of it, someone else will be able to sit here. And I had made this whole plan about how I was going to do it.
Wow.
And what was going to happen. And, I was going to make it look like an accident. This is too graphic, tell me. But I made this whole plan about like, how I was going to make it look like an accident.
Car accident?
Yeah, a car accident. Yeah. I wanted it to look like a car accident. I sat outside of the diner, and there was this little itch in the back of my head that was like, just give someone a call, just real quick. If it don't work out, then we have this plan. I called Mikhail. I don't even know what I said because it's such a blur at that time. I don't even know what I said, but he told me, he goes, this was on a Monday, and he goes, listen, my home group's tomorrow. Just come. If you don't like it, you don't like it. I will be there. Just come. And I was like, I don't know. And that voice, that like 2-minute conversation was enough for that impulse to go away until tomorrow. So I got off the phone and I walked inside Lester's. And now I didn't go inside the diner, and I wasn't like, hey guys.
I was about to kill myself.
Guys, I was about to kill myself. Now I'm not. So let's all get some cheesecake. No, I went in there, and I was still in the war with myself. I was still, fighting.
And this is years clean.
This is years clean. This is 5 years clean.
Yeah.
5 years clean, easily. And with just the unconditional love of friends. Like, you were in my life, Simon was in my people that loved me, that would do anything for me.
And like successful, doing well.
Yes. All the, like I said, all
Exterior,
the outside things. I had all the things.
And that's the thing what people don't understand with depression. It's like, dude, real depression is not based on an outside thing.
Right.
It's like, sometimes people are like so confused about like, oh, I don't understand how they got depressed. They had all this going on. Like, no one says that with cancer.
Dude, depression doesn't give a fuck.
It's just like anything else. It's like, bro, if you get cancer, no one's like, I don't understand. He had a good job. No one's like, bro, how did he get cancer? He was always happy all the time. It's like, it really is just like any other illness. It's not situational. It
doesn't discriminate.
Real depression is not situational, because if you're depressed because your mom died, that's normal. You know what I mean? Like, bro, your mom died,
Yeah.
Now, if that depression lasts like years, okay, now it's time to do something, like get like some serious help or something. But like, dude, if you get fired from your job, you're struggling financially, you have real hardships in your life, like, and you're depressed and you don't feel good, like, dude, that's normal.
Yeah.
But when there's no exterior thing and you don't want to be alive, I mean, that's textbook, depression.
It's definitely a hard road too, because for me, when I was there,
and then you don't even feel deserving of it because your life.
That's what you feel. I felt as if, like, almost like I could hear my dad in the back of my mind. What the fuck you griping about for? You got this, you got that. What the fuck are you sad for? Strange as that sounds, like that, those thoughts have weight.
Yeah.
Where you say, just like you said, you have this, you have A, B, and C. What are you sad about?
Yeah, and it defies logic, so it's not like a logical thing. It's like, I know logically I shouldn't be depressed. And even with like addiction defies logic. It's like, dude, people that are struggling with addiction, I would be like, dude, I need to stop using.
Yeah.
Like, I know I need to stop using.
Right.
I have a drug test on Monday. You know, like, if anything, I could just wait till Monday and do drugs after. And it's like, it defies logic.
When I went inside the diner and I sat down with everybody, like I said, it didn't go away. It didn't fix itself. Eventually, I went to the meeting on Tuesday, and even in the meeting, I felt like I didn't belong. You know, because it's not like you said, it's a process, and I felt like I didn't belong. I had that like tiny bit of try left. I had that little bit of hope that I could be okay. And there was a lot of people that we loved that were there, right? And I just every Tuesday went. And that gave me like a foundation, right? To be open to working on myself. I started doing that heart-based therapy, and I started doing, seeking like real professional help for my mental illnesses. I learned so much about me and what my struggles were. And I paid attention to me. I became important to me. I tell people all the time, it's okay to be selfish. You should be the most important person in your life. And I don't say that in like an ego way of, you should think you're the coolest kid in the room, or you should think you're the hottest guy in the room. What I mean is the work that you do and the amount of energy that you exchange should be equal with yourself. So I should put in just as much time into me and making sure that I'm the best version of myself than anyone else.
Yeah, I always tell people, it's like, have you ever read The Untethered Soul?
No.
That's really good. So he always says, like, there's a voice in our head, but are you the voice or are you the one that hears it? So there's like two things in us. It's like the voice and there's something else. So it's like the voice in my head needs to talk to me like I'm like a little kid.
Yeah.
So basically, like, bro, when you have a child, you never say like, "Oh, dude, you sucked today."
Right.
You gotta amp them up. Like, bro, you killed it today. You'll do better tomorrow.
Yeah.
Everything's all good. Like, you don't tell a kid like, "Dude, we're gonna lose the house." You're like, "Dude, no, we're gonna be fine." Like, you gotta talk to yourself in a positive, optimistic, always uplifting type of way.
Right.
To yourself, because we'll do that to somebody else.
Yeah.
We'll have a friend call us and be like, "I'm ugly," and you'd be like, "Bro,
you're
fuck
fucking
that! You're
hot.
fucking gorgeous,
Yeah.
dude.
I'll kiss you right now.
I'll kiss
I
you
don't
right
care."
now." But then we'll hang up the phone and look in the mirror and be like, "We're ugly."
Oh, I tried on 3 shirts before I came here. I tried on 3 shirts, so I get it.
I always try to explain it like that. It's like, your self-talk, like, you need to talk to yourself the way you would talk to like a young kid. You need to like always lift yourself up, because that's the biggest thing, is that we'll talk to other people as positive as can be and be respectful to everyone else and not be respectful to ourselves. So it's like, I always try to like, I didn't know that until like I had like a year and a half clean. It took me a long time to like, to really understand that, how important it is, the things I say to myself.
Hey guys, if you or a loved one are struggling with addiction, please know that help is available. Call now at 833-999-1877 or click the Info Addiction help link on the top right corner of this video. Addiction specialists are available to offer support 24/7.
Welcome to the Genesis House, powered by the United Recovery Project. Located in sunny South Florida, we offer drug and alcohol addiction treatment, as well as a major focus on dual diagnosis. Our addiction therapy programs include behavioral therapy, 12-step facilitation, psychotherapy, life skills training, and more. At our facility, you can expect a low client-to-staff ratio, daily group therapy, weekly one-on-one therapy sessions, and luxury amenities such as volleyball, basketball, pool, chiropractor, personal trainer, yoga, massage therapy, and more. Contact the United Recovery Project today, and let's create a better tomorrow.
I brought those pictures that I was showing you because a lot of the work that I've done is like inner child work. So it's about like those formative years of from your birth to like 5 years old, 7 years old.
So what happened?
Well, when I was born, so I was born in 1990. When I was born,
Represent.
Yeah, that's right.
Me too.
When I was born, I had really bad asthma. Right. So when I was born, I had really bad asthma, had trouble breathing. I swallowed shit There's like a word for it. That's like a fancy term that I could tell you.
Swallowed.
But I swallowed my own shit before I was
In the
born.
womb.
Yeah. There's a real fancy word for it. I don't fucking know it, but swallowed my own shit.
So you're a poop eater.
Yeah, come mierda. Yeah. So
Your Spanish is good, bro. That's crazy.
Hey, man. So I had a bunch of complications. I had a bunch of like complications when I was born. So long story short, I was hospitalized 17 times before I was 2 years old. During that time, my mother put herself through respiratory school to learn how to be a respiratory therapist.
Wow.
So that she could take care of me. Oh yeah, it's crazy. She has like, even still, she'll have binders full of like what the temperature was, what the humidity was, what I did that day, like all these records. They flew me to National Jewish in Denver. They did a bunch of research. They couldn't figure out why my asthma was so bad and why it was causing me. Like there'd be times where she would go check on me in the crib and I would just be blue. And she'd have to rush me to the ER. And that happened multiple times. She would bring me to the hospital. They would do tests. And like I said, I brought all that stuff because that kid learned a lot about what life is going to be, right? So that Brandon that was, 2 years old, 3 years old, however, those first couple of years, made rules for the Brandon that had 5 years clean, 6 years clean, 7 years clean. It took a long time to understand. When I would be in the hospital, I'd have all the wires on my head or like that glass cube I was showing you that I had to sleep in. My dad would come in the room and he would faint or he would vomit.
Wow.
I would see that and I would think like, and I'd still have this rule of, well, when people are around me, it causes them pain. When people see me and they come to spend time with me, it's a burden on them. And my sisters would come, my mom would come, and I'm making everybody spend time in a hospital with me. And, me and my sisters are all 2 years apart. So at most they were, 9 years old. They don't want to be hanging out in a hospital. They're not having fun. And my mom is looking at her baby in a hospital bed for the, 15th time. So I created this rule in my head that, this is what I deserve. When I got clean, I removed the drugs, but I didn't really learn how to heal. And I didn't really learn how to find peace. And when I connected with that little Brandon that was in the hospital, I started understanding like why I felt that way. Because that feeling of sitting there when I became an owner and them telling that, and the feeling of sitting on that hospital bed and my dad walking in and, fainting or throwing up, those feelings were the exact fucking same. They were the exact same. And I've been taught to, when I feel something, I do this with friends who open up to me, is go back to the earliest that you can remember feeling that feeling. And you can find something that happened or a wound or, something that created that rule for you. And not all the rules that we create for ourselves are as confiding as that rule. I have one rule that I can't eat if I don't have a shirt on.
Really?
Like I cannot eat if I don't have a shirt on. I won't eat.
Where does that come from?
My mom, if I came to eat without a shirt on, would be like, "You're disgusting.
Wow.
Go back to your room and put a shirt on." So even now,
you feel uncomfortable. Yeah.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it.
You know what bothers me? So sometimes when I eat, I have this fear, like this anxiety when I'm eating with like a group of people, because like my father hates the sound of chewing. And there were so many times where like, dude, I know that he doesn't like chewing, and I would do my best to chew quietly, and he would be like, "Stop fucking chewing loud." And he'd slam the table,
Right.
"Get the fuck out of here." And he would like scream, and like, growing up, my dad had like a temper.
Yeah.
But dude, there's a name for it, but it's like there's a lot of people out there who hate the sound of chewing, and like whether it was cereal or whatever, and like if I held the fork wrong, all these things about table manners. So there was years of when I first got clean where when I would go over to my parents' house to eat specifically, it would bring up all this anxiety and stuff from childhood. You know?
It's insane the amount of influence that those years have on you, and they played a role in almost every part of my life, those first years, because not only did I learn, that I'm a burden or I'm undeserving, a lot of the times I would feel, as if I should have just given up. If one of these trips to the hospital, I just don't make it back, everybody gets to go home. Mm-hmm. You don't have to sit here and worry about me and take care of me and do all these things to make me better. You just get to go home and order Domino's.
Yeah, and especially being a drug addict, I felt like that because, like, dude, my parents took me to court. They took me to probation. My mom was picking me up from getting kicked out of school. Cops were coming to the house. We're constantly having family meetings about, like, what to do with me. Yeah. Eventually, you just start to be like, I'm sure if I died, they'd be sad for a little bit, but then it would be like this big relief.
It's a twisted view on life, and it's unrealistic. It's unrealistic, And it took me a while to really realize how loved I am, and how deserving I am. And still there's, this morning I was like, I don't, how many great people have been on this podcast? Why do I deserve to sit in this seat? But that's not for me to decide. It's not for me to decide on what the world offers me, I just show up. I just show up and I stopped at that place. I got you a nice gift because you're welcome. Because I appreciate
so even me. So you understand, like on my end, dude, a lot of times I ask people and they're like, no. So it's like sometimes I feel like I'm being a burden.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, does Brandon think that I only hit him up because I need a guest? Right, or like, oh, does Brandon feel like, dude, you're going to ask me last minute? Or like, it's fucking Mother's Day. Like, are you fucking... Now you're going to make me feel bad if I say no, Yeah. So like, dude, sometimes me asking people to be on this show feels like a burden.
It's vulnerable.
Yeah, bro, because not everyone, do I have some of my closest friends, like I'm not doing your podcast, So not everyone wants their whole life story on here. Some people have like corporate big jobs or whatever. And, they don't want to talk about it. And dude, they'll speak at meetings whenever, but like some people just don't want to be on YouTube.
Well, and that's fair. I can understand that. I mean, for me, I've just always, since the day I got clean, I've just always been okay with talking about what I went through.
Mm-hmm. Me too. I'm like the opposite. I'm like...
I'm telling the guy at Publix, like, thanks for the half pound of turkey. I used to shoot dope 10 years ago, and now I can buy a full pound of turkey.
Yeah, me too.
It doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I'm telling everybody.
Yeah, I think it helps create like a level of understanding for people that...
And it's like awareness. It's like, some people might not know that people get clean.
Yeah.
I used to do it when I first got clean because I wanted to be held accountable. So like I couldn't drink around you because I just told
safeguard.
Yeah, I just told you, like, dude, like,
this is no-go zone.
Yeah, bro. Like I would date a girl and be like, yeah, just so you know, I can never have alcohol ever. Sometimes I would. So when I first got clean, I would fall into oversharing a lot, where like I didn't know how to share without like oversharing and being explicit.
Right.
So like I learned how to reel it in about like 18 months clean. But when I first got clean, I didn't know what to share with my sponsor. I didn't know what to share at a meeting. I was just vomiting all over everyone. I'd talk about like my childhood trauma with someone like I'm trying to date.
Trauma dumping.
Yeah,
trauma
exactly.
Dumping.
Over the years, I've been able to like, I don't got to tell everybody, but I am like open with it. And I do the podcast all the time and like, owned rehab. So it's like sometimes it was the last thing I wanted to talk about eventually,
Yeah. But you did a whole one just about you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I got my whole story on here.
Yeah. I think especially also as men, it's very, very important to be vulnerable with another man.
For sure.
Because it's something that isn't offered as much in the culture as it should
like
be.
Even like on YouTube when I look at like motivational stuff, it's always like, don't be a pussy, fucking work harder.
It's just black and gray.
Wake up. Yeah, it's in black and white. And he's like, you know what I fucking do when I get depressed? I wake up at 4 a.m. and take a cold shower and tell myself I'm not a bitch. And it's like a lot of motivational stuff is like that, and it's not realistic, and not everyone works that way. It's like, dude, you have people that go to the military, and some people come out and they're just fucking tough as nails and they don't have trauma and like shit didn't affect them. And bro, you have people that go to military who fucking came back and they have a lot of issues, a lot of mental health issues. They come back drug addicts or whatever. So it's like, just because you didn't get affected by the trauma the way someone else didn't mean that his shit is like invalid.
Yeah, my dad did 24 years in the Air Force. When I grew up with my father, he was the type...
Was he a drill sergeant?
No, he was a master sergeant in the Air Force.
No, but I mean like his demeanor.
Oh, to me?
Yeah.
1,000,000%.
Okay.
1,000,000%.
My dad wasn't a drill sergeant, but he was a drill sergeant at home.
Yes,
like, motherfucker, you're waking up when I tell you to wake up. Your bed better be made. Like, your fucking shit need to be in order.
I'll give you the best. This is a story I tell everybody. And I'm sure he'll watch this. But he's not like this. He's a great human nowadays. But there was a time when I was like 16 or 17 and I got a flat on my car. And I'm full-blown addiction at this time. So I don't give a shit that my tire has a flat. And my mom had just got surgery on like her hips or something, and she couldn't walk very well. And so my car had sat up front for like 4 days. And my dad's like handyman. You could put anything in front of him, he can figure it out. I'm the opposite. So he's like, you need to change your damn tire today, boy. Go out there and change your fucking tire. And I was like, all right, dude. And he's like, if I catch your mom out there, I'm beating your fucking ass. And I was like, dude, I'm not going to invite my mom out here. She just had surgery. Like, why would I do that? But now, speaking of my mom's relationship and how close she was, so she was always at my defense, ready to do whatever needs to be. So I was like, all right.
Which is interesting that like these tough men marry these enabling women, caretakers.
Super enabling. So I go out and, of course he has like the big jack, he's got everything and he's got the 4-way, I know nothing about changing a tire. This was like before, I guess I didn't even know YouTube. I couldn't whatever. I didn't care. So I jacked the car up and I'm trying to take the tire off. And the tire's just spinning because the car...
You got to loosen it first.
Well, I didn't think that the tire would just spin. So I'm just spinning my tire, not understanding my car's in the air. We had a screen door and I hear the screen door open and I look and it's my mom walking out. And I was like, Mom, please go inside. You're going to get both of us in trouble. Please go inside. And she's still just walking towards me. And I hear the door close and I'm like, whatever. And so she goes, you got to drop it down. And I go to drop it down. And right as it hits the ground, I hear the door open again. And I hear my dad, he's like, Lori, get the fuck inside. And I was like, oh, I'm fucked. I'm so fucked. And he comes up and he grabs the jack and he just like throws it. And he points. He doesn't even say anything. He points to the garage, like, get the fuck out of here. So I start walking to the garage, and I'm walking like, oh, I'm in trouble, blah, blah, blah. And he never hit me, but he scared the fuck out of me at every chance he could. And I'm walking, and I just hear... And he had taken the 4-way and just chucked that shit at me. Now, I still ask him to this day, and he will not confirm or deny whether he wanted to hit me or not. Wow. But, he didn't play sports, so he probably just missed. We walked back to the garage, and I remember, getting that, 16, 17-year-old, yeah, motherfucker, I could take you now. What's good? So I get up, and we're in front of the garage, and he's yelling at me and screaming at me, and he's standing by a old refrigerator that was broken down. He's probably repairing it or something. And I just punched the refrigerator as hard as I could, and he just stares at me. Just complete silence, just stares at me, and just points to the house. And I was like, okay. And I knew right then that it was never going to win. I was never going to win because that was all I had. Yeah. I thought, I don't know what I really thought in my mind would happen with me punching the fridge. He was always that, like you said, like a drill sergeant. He was always aware, always aware. Everywhere we went, everything we did. Even now, when I go somewhere, I don't sit with my back to the door. Here, my back's to the door, and I'm a little uncomfortable, because everywhere I'd go with him, he wouldn't sit with his back to his door. Or we would go to the movies and he'd be like, this is the exit. If anything happens, we go here. Wow. So he was always hyper vigilant and hyper aware. And that's a form of trauma. Yeah. And for me, it created this rule again of I have to always be on guard. No matter where I go, no matter what I do, I have to always be aware of whatever is going on.
Yeah. And also as I've gotten a lot of things that I hate that my dad did as a kid, as an adult, I learned to appreciate. Because not for nothing, all the shit I hated about my dad, with table manners. Right. There's times where I go eat with Mikey Ave, dude, and he holds the fork like this, and I'm just like, bro, that's
fuck. Who like this?
He holds the fork like this, bro.
Mikey Ave, dog.
Dude, I'm telling you, bro. He won't do the podcast, but I swear, bro, he'll hold the fork like this. And sometimes he'll switch it up just because he knows that it bothers me.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I'm not mad. I just know that if you go on a date with a girl and you do that, or you go to her parents' house and you do that, like if you do that at my house, dude, my dad
Pops is
losing it, bro. He's flipping the table, you know? So it's like, there's a lot of things now as an adult that I appreciate that my dad did as a kid. Because, dude, a lot of things that he really, like, you know, you're not on time if you're on time. You know, you're fucking, you know, you're only on time if you're early. And, like, all this shit.
Which
like,
I was 10 minutes early today.
It's okay. You're the man. Yeah. So it's like, dude, my dad was very much, like, trying to implement values and things in me. And I do think that addiction brought out the worst in both of us. Because I'm sure your dad wouldn't even have been mad about the flat tire if he wasn't mad about 15 other things.
Or if I would have just changed it.
Yeah.
If I would have just gone out there, it had been sitting out there for 3 days. If I would have just changed it.
Which, if you weren't on drugs, you probably would have figured out how to change your tire. And
or it could have been a learning experience together, you know, but in that time, there's no time for anything other than, you know, to live to use. That was it. I don't care about any of this other stuff. So he's totally different now. As soon as I got clean, he's like the loveliest, like sweetest, like just a teddy bear now. You know, like
my dad became like that. Now he's like just so. He called me almost crying the other day, just telling me how proud he is of me, and
it's the best.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Oh, he commented something. I bought my grandfather's truck after he passed away. So he had like commented on how proud he was that I got that, and I didn't understand like.
Do you drive it?
I have to get it registered, but it's drivable. De Palma fixed it.
Wow.
Yeah. So when he commented like, "Oh, I'm so proud. Look, he got this. You know, this was his father's truck. Now it's mine." Blah blah blah. I didn't realize like what that felt like and how that could be so impactful. It made my whole day. I was like, "Fuck yeah, dude." You're proud of me, like that's sick, and you couldn't tell me shit the rest of the day. I was like, that's it, and you know, a lot of the times I'm just really, you know, searching for that feeling of like
approval,
and like I'm enough, and this person likes me, or this person likes me, or this person thinks I'm cool, and it can be a dangerous game.
Yeah, and I think that I only won my dad's approval when I stopped seeking it. You know, so it's like there was a time where I was just constantly trying to like seek his approval and for him to finally say, and then you know what? There was a time where I was like, you know what, dude, I'm gonna live my life, and if you don't agree with it, like I'm not gonna like live my life trying to make you and mom happy. Like I'm not hurting anybody, bro. I'm clean. I'm gonna take risk because your parents are risk adverse. About your life.
Yeah.
They took all the risk in the world, bro. Had fucking kids and moved and did all sorts of risky shit all the time. But when it comes to you, dude, your parents want you to go to college and get a good job. You know? Like they want you
lawyer,
doctor. Dude, they want you to be risk adverse. Even though their life wasn't like that, a lot of times they might think, well, dude, any false move, we could have fucking been under a bridge or something.
Right.
So your parents sometimes are the worst people to guide you in your adult life. In your child life, it's good to be risk adverse because
they have your best interest.
Because you're a kid, you know, you shouldn't really take a lot of risks as a kid. But as an adult, your parents still treat you as a kid because you're still their baby. So they don't want you to stop going to college for a couple months to go try your own business, you know. And it's like they want you to stay home and they don't want you to like move away. A lot of parents, you know. So it's like a lot of times it's like I tell people, like, you know, you need to take your parents' advice if they have experience in certain things, and also like get other people that can advise you that don't have that attachment to you so deeply with your parents, because your parents might just be trying to have you go down the safest route.
Which isn't always the best.
Yeah. And it might not be what you want to do.
Right. I'm fortunate in the sense of like, I talk to my mom every day at the same time. I call her every day. Well, if it's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I call her at 6. If it's Monday and Friday, I call her at 5. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays, I call her after my workout. Mondays and Fridays, I call her right after work.
That's dope.
We don't always speak about some grandiose topic, but we always talk. That was a decision that I made because I realized how fleeting time can be. You know, once my grandfather passed away, I was super close with, I realized how like fleeting time could be. And it started with me calling my dad, but then he got a new job. So every day I call her and every day she answers. And sometimes it's hey, I'm really busy at work. I'm just knocking these things out. I love you. I appreciate your call. And then 30 seconds, we're done.
Sure.
Sometimes it'll be 45 minutes all the way home. And then when I get home and we're talking. So to me, family is like super valuable. My family, and I'll say this to the moon, my family is the family that I think everyone wants as a family. Like I could pick up my phone right now and call each member of my family and they would all answer and I could tell them anything in my life. And I could be completely honest and completely open and share anything from my heart and not an ounce of judgment would come of them. I feel very blessed in that aspect of like having that force behind me, having someone who is just always there. No matter if it's my sister, either one of my sisters, my dad, my mom, my grandmother, whatever it is, like the unconditional love that we have for each other is like, I think a lot of the reason I got clean so young and got clean when I did was because of the family fabric support of my family. Like me going to treatment, the decision was this. I was outside, me and my mom were smoking a cigarette. She looked at me and she goes, would you ever go to treatment? And I was like, yeah. The next day she called Joey, boom, straight to treatment.
Wow.
Boom, straight to treatment. And it was the only treatment I ever went to. I picked up one white key tag and it's been...
How long ago now? 10?
That was in July of 2012.
Wow.
Yeah, so this year will be 11.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of the... Like I haven't had a lot of the bottoms that I hear come into the rooms. I had like this constant backing of like, we're on your team. We're on your team. Whatever you need to get help, whatever you want to get help. It was rough because me and my mom were using together. So when she had that surgery that I was telling you about with the car and throwing the tire iron, she was prescribed opiates. I can remember vividly like her coming home and shaking the bottle. And I had to be like 15, 16. My addiction progressed as her prescription progressed. So as she was prescribed stronger and stronger opiates, I was using stronger and stronger opiates. I was such a master manipulator that I would steal them for the first, maybe year and a half. I was just going and doing the old claw method where you just rip out however many. And then at a certain point, I had a conversation. I was like, listen, I'm going to steal all of these and you're going to be in pain the whole time. So let's just work out a 50-50 split where you come home.
And she was fine with that?
And she was fine. Now that is enabling. We were talking about the enabling. So she didn't want to have the confrontation of catching me stealing.
She didn't tell your dad?
I don't know. I've never asked her that. He knew. I don't think he knew at the level. I mean, we're talking about like, I would go ask her like, hey, can you unlock the safe and get out and give me a couple?
He probably didn't know
how entangled we were. And it was very, very serious. I mean, there was a time where we were like at each other's throats and we just didn't understand. And she had a physical addiction, right? So when I got clean, she just stopped. I had the disease of addiction and I couldn't go without. I would crawl. They had a doggy door in the room and I would crawl in through the doggy door.
Through the doggy door?
Oh,
you must have been so skinny.
Bruh, I would... Like the doggy door was into their room and she would be, she worked nights. So she'd be sleeping on the bed and she would carry her purse everywhere with her. This was before we had our deal, our 50-50 split. She would carry her purse with her everywhere because I had like wherever it was, I was finding that purse. I was finding that shit. I was stealing it. Even if you knew it was me, I didn't give a shit as long as I got what I wanted. So I would slither through the fucking doggy door and I would go under the bed. So she couldn't see me. So that way, if she woke up and she went like this, looked around.
And then you waited for her to go back to sleep.
Yeah, I'd wait for her to go back to sleep. And then I'd grab and then I'd slither out the fucking doggy door again. It just progressed that way because eventually it got to the point where I moved out and, that's when the using got really bad, when there was, no one to see me, and I lived with two other addicts. One has unfortunately passed away since then, but that was all I did. I was working at this rose garden. It's like this big, beautiful rose garden. They had work release people there. And I'm not, if you look at me, like, I'm not, like, I'm from the South and I never copped in like an open market or did anything like this. And I was never brave enough to like seek the drugs. So I was at the Rose Garden. They had a work release. I was like really high. And one of the guys was like, yo, you know, my nephew, he serves. And I was like, oh, sick. Like, thanks for the hookup. I don't have to do anything. And I was buying this guy's morphine like every month. 1 month, I didn't have any money to pay him back. And I pull up to my apartment and I'm just sitting in my house and I just hear pop, 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 pop. And he just rips open the door. He comes in. He's like, bro, you know what you owe me. I was like, look, dude, I don't have shit. What are you talking about? Like, look where I live. There was nothing, just like a mattress on the ground. It's nothing. And I had like one TV and I'm like, maybe 110 pounds at that time. And I was like, take whatever you want. Take what, I don't care. So he just grabbed all my shit and bounced. And even at that time, I was like, all right,
Whatever. Yeah.
I'll see you next month.
You're like, dude, I got off on that.
Yeah. I was like, I don't need a fucking TV. And I never had that. I don't know if courage is the right word, but I never had that like conviction to like go pawn stuff or go sell stuff. I was like so afraid all the time.
Wow.
I wouldn't like do things. I would like hide stuff. Even my friends from high school are like, it really got that bad because I was really just trying to suppress my any feeling, any emotion, any experience. I just wanted to be numb 24/7. And that's all I did. So I wouldn't like go out and do like crazy things. I don't have this like under the bridge story of like, you know, my addiction.
Yeah, and I think that like, you know, we talk about like not being good enough. Sometimes people get clean, and especially people who get clean young, we think we're not even bad enough.
Yeah,
you know
100%.
So it's like, bro, first we're like depressed and like hate our lives, and then we come into like recovery and it's like, fuck, dude, all these other people have these badass stories and they've used for years, and maybe I don't belong here. And my story is like me at fucking Coinstar, like fucking begging my mom for haircut money and then not getting a haircut. Like my story was like, you know, it wasn't like guns and robbers and fucking car chases and like, you know, all this stuff. And it wasn't years and years of using, you know. And sometimes when we get clean, like we could fall into comparing like our story not being as bad as someone else's story. But to me, like, the core of addiction is really not being able to connect with anybody. You know, I think that's really like the true definition of like an addiction is like when you lost the ability to connect deeply with people in general, even before drugs.
Yeah, that empathy is super important. You know, I get so comfortable I'm just super grateful that I'm able to be present. You know, now looking back on all that stuff, I just have this feeling of like optimism, of gratitude, of love and peace that I'm able to be here and be present. You know, even if you didn't have the podcast, even if we had just known each other for a couple of weeks, like this is my favorite fucking thing in the world. My favorite thing in the whole world is just being vulnerable with another human. I fucking love it. It builds, that's like...
Makes you feel alive.
Oh my, it's like the greatest thing because if you can't be vulnerable, it's very hard for me to become friends with somebody, like you were talking about earlier, if they don't show me vulnerability. Like if you show me a little bit, it doesn't have to be like trauma dumping like we were talking about earlier. There's a certain level of vulnerability that allows us to relate.
Like, dude, just don't tell me that it's all good all the time, you know, when I know it. Because it's like, you know, really, that's how you like somebody. When someone's able to be like, dude, this is what's going on with me or whatever. That's how like you really connect with people, you know?
Drew recently was like being super open and honest with me, you know, and sharing a bunch of stuff with me. And it made us closer. And I was like, this is what I want to be. This is how I want to be of service. Like, I want to be the person that, you know, on the other end, I'm not going to judge you. Yeah. You can call me and tell me whatever you're going through, whatever trouble you're going through, whatever you're experiencing. I just want to be available. I just want to be a vessel for other people. I want to allow them, you know, to be loved.
Well, hey, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Wow, that was quick.
That was fast. I think it's been, let's check, 1 hour and 11 minutes.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I appreciate
keep going.
it.
You want to keep going?
I'm down for whatever. I mean, you know your times. I'm down for whatever.
Yeah, I could feel that it's been like an hour, but hey, I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
You know, I was thinking it's like, you know, you could tell we have like a friendship because we could just talk. And it's
I didn't even notice. I didn't even know. No, I genuinely appreciate you and I don't know if people give you your roses now, but
hey, thank you.
I appreciate you and what you're doing.
And it's like, dude, just like how you are, it's like, you know, the reason why I started the podcast was because I didn't really see any recovery podcasts that were like real. Sometimes when I listen to stories, I'm like, dude, I know 100 people that have better stories than that.
Yeah.
And not that like their stories are like whatever. It's just like, dude, they're real people that I know.
Yeah.
That are like incredible. And it's like most people don't even know that like addicts can get clean, or we are real people that have normal lives and like we're still involved. And a lot of people, they just see like on social media, when you think about addiction, it's like, oh, I used to be an addict. No, I'm not.
Like
it's
before, after.
Yeah,
There's
that's
no
it. It's like the before and after.
Yeah.
And you don't see like the ups and downs or the work that we go through, or like, you know, the intimacy and love and breakups and getting new jobs and whatever. And we're still addicts, you know? So it's like, even like the other day, I was talking to someone at this wedding. He was like, so you still think of yourself as an addict?
I get that all the time.
I was just like, yeah, dude. I mean,
100%. I can't go.
Yeah.
It's like to me, it's a double-edged sword, because I'm not gonna go and waste everything that I have on one drink, or use once and waste 10 years. You know.
Yeah, even I was watching Joe Rogan, and he was asking, he was talking about like ayahuasca with Russell Brand, and he was kind of trying to convince Russell Brand to like do ayahuasca, and Russell Brand was like, yeah, you know, I just stayed away from that stuff for so long, I've been clean. But it's like, dude, it goes like, to get clean, you need to really stand on this hill of like, I'm never using again just for today. Like, I'm not using, I'm going to stay clean. And it's like, for many of us, bro, we've done psychedelics before. We've done all these different things before. And like, our whole life is based on abstinence. And it's like, why would we ruin that to go chase some type of spiritual thing that many of us have gotten organically through having like a nearly fatal, you know, catastrophe anyways. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, like, ego death and like tripping and like realizing that like you're nothing, that's really what it does. Like, you fucking do the acid and you realize that you're fucking dust in the wind, and fucking none of this is you're on a fucking floating rock, a crumb of fucking space in the world. And it's like, bro, being a drug addict did that for me, because when I was young, I had like no ego. I was very insecure. And then I had this inflated ego of thinking I was like the man. And then like, dude, addiction just like, I was very well aware that like, I did not need to be alive. And I was a burden for most people. And I wanted to kill myself. And then I got clean, and it was like, dude, this second chance at life. And it's like, that's really all you can really expect from a fucking acid trip, is appreciation for what you already have.
Yeah, I'm the best version of myself when I'm clean.
And not just that, it's like thinking about all the other people that we help by being clean. So it's like you're just gonna throw that away for a high, to like, for what, you know? And it's just like, dude, it's not me. It's like, bro, if I was a priest, it would be like, bro, like, I believe in Christianity. This is what I believe in. This is what I'm not hating on you, but I'm not going to go join Judaism. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not hating on that. It's like, this is what I do.
Yeah, this is my
This
thing.
is who I am. I went to fucking preschool, and fucking I have a church.
Yeah. I did
like
mass.
I did mass. Like, I'm fucking committed to this.
The offerings.
I'm not saying that like I hate your religion or anything. It's like, this is what I do.
No, and I have so much more fun being clean, like, than I ever did.
I didn't have any fun.
Nothing. I
was at this wedding and people were drinking, and this kid was just asking me questions like, does this bother you?
Oh yeah,
like,
I get that all the time. Like, I'm not made of glass. Like, if it bothered me,
I wouldn't be here. I'm a grown man.
I would leave.
Yeah, I wouldn't be here if it bothered me. I know how to conduct myself.
Yeah.
Like, when I see people drinking, it's kind of like when I see kids at the playground.
Yeah.
Like, I know you guys are I don't want to ride the fake pony. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm not swinging from the monkey bars right now. I got a bad back.
I did that when I was your age. I was up on the monkey bars. I was having a blast.
Yeah, trust me, I've done some monkey bars before, brother.
So it's like, you know, I just see it as like kids having fun. I don't think it's like you guys are bad and I'm good.
No.
I'm just, you know, I don't feel like being on the monkey bars right now, bro.
Yeah.
You know,
I fell off the monkey bars.
I fell off the monkey bars one too many times. Yeah.
I'm chilling.
So that's kind of how I feel about it, you know.
Yeah.
So hey, muchas gracias.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Love you.
Love you too, buddy.
This show is not affiliated with any specific 12-step program. If you or a loved one is struggling with an addiction, please find a local 12-step meeting. If you believe you may need detox or drug treatment of any kind, please call 833-999-1877 to speak to a specialist. This show is sponsored by United Recovery Project, a state-of-the-art drug and alcohol rehab facility. You can visit our website at unitedrecoveryproject.com.